Hey everybody, it's Carms Quinn. I want to welcome everyone back. Some of you know me as Carmencita No Sé Qué. It's been a while since I've been on your screens, and I'm excited to be here. It's great to be back. I'm joined by an amazing friend of mine, Jonathan Baez, who's going to actually be interviewing today. He's going to be interviewing yours truly.
Hey, what's up, sis? I'm sorry, guys. I call her sis. I've known her since we go way back. So before we get started with the questions and everything,
Okay.
I hear that congrats are in order. You just signed, I believe, you put ink to paper for a new house.
Yeah, it's
How's that
official. It is official. We officially signed papers, and the next day we were in there. Actually, that very same day that we signed papers, we were in there breaking stuff up. So now
Awesome?
today we were gardening. We were like pulling all the weeds and clearing stuff out. But yeah, we got another fixer upper, and we're hitting the ground running.
Awesome. The only, I mean, only in the home, the only thing I like is demo. But then after I'm done with the demo, I look at it and be like, oh crap, now I gotta put everything back together.
Back together. Yeah, demo's fun, but yeah, then there's that part. You got to put it all back together.
Definitely. So before we start, like I said, before we start with the question, let me just ask you a simple question. How are you
Okay.
doing? How are you doing today?
Today's a good day. I'm really tired. I will admit I'm pretty exhausted today, but it's still a good day because there were days that I wish for days like today. I got up at the crack of dawn. I had, my things that I needed to get done. So it's been a really long day. However, there have been days that I know I can't do this. So on the days that I am good, I got to take full advantage. And so I'm doing absolutely wonderful today.
Well, let's try to get as many questions as possible and answers so your audience can know a little bit more about you. And let's start with the first one. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, yeah, sure. My name's Carmen. A lot of you know me as Carmencita No Sé Qué or Carms Quinn. I was actually born in Massachusetts, in Holyoke, Massachusetts, and I lived there for about the first 12 years of my life. And then I moved upstate to upstate New York, to Rochester, New York, where I've been most of my life. I think I left for maybe a year and then I came right back. I love it here. I love this place. I'm a mom of three. I'm an entrepreneur, a Jackie of all trades, and a master of many.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, um, and the most important one above all is being a parent.
Yeah.
Um, so what has changed in life apart from being a mom and apart from what has changed from like the back old days when you were young to now? What has changed?
Well, life certainly took whatever direction it was going to, not the direction that I wanted to. Right? In the regard that when you're young, you're planning and you're thinking dreaming all these things up that you want to do, and life is going to take you in its own course, and sometimes it aligns with everything that you're dreaming up, and sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, I've come a long way. I'm not the same person that I was even 5 years ago. So there's definitely been a lot of growth and a lot of challenges. And learning how to balance so many things going on at once, especially my health issues, while I find ways to creatively, make ends meet and pay the bills has been a very interesting task, to say the least. But definitely still in the realms of things I wanted to do. I don't think I've always wanted to be in real estate. And I think I've always been into like construction and things like that. And we've talked about this, but it's because of the way that I grew up. My father has been a carpenter my whole life, and my brothers, and, my daughter also studied it. So I knew all along that that was in my bloodline, fixing things and putting things back together. And when I was a kid, I enjoyed watching the like Nothnagel Realtors. Do you remember that? The
Yes, I
Sunday
do.
showcase of homes.
Yeah, I still watch them. Whatever's the HGTV.
Right now it's HGTV, but before,
Yeah.
you would see the houses that were up for sale on Sundays, and I remember dreaming and thinking, wow, I would like to be the person on the other end. But then life happens, and I got into business, and I did a whole bunch of other things that was not the trajectory that I thought I was going to take, which was in real estate. And by fate, and because this is where life is taking me, I'm back to the same place, which is working in one form of, or another with real estate. So so while I'm doing what I think I always wanted to do, what I know I've always wanted to do, I didn't think I would get here this way.
So it seems, I mean, from what we talked about, you're very, because you're very busy with real estate. Obviously, looking for the homes and whatnot. Trying to see what fits within your budget, your likes, and what you're kind of looking for that home. I know it's a fixer upper, but you're kind of looking at what fixer upper do I want to buy. And then top of that, I don't know if you share with your followers, your fans. You're also doing the test to become a real estate. So, in your, I was busy with that, busy with being a mom. You have two at home. One of them is old, but even though they're gone, you're still parent. You're still
Oh
parent
yeah.
to them. Um, so you're busy with father. So I mean, it seems like you very busy, and then obviously with with all the other things that you add to. So why did you choose to start a podcast? I mean, why did you choose to add that to your busy life already?
Right, it's already a hot mess express. What are you doing? Well, I think it's first of all, it's that part of it. Life is crazy. Life is busy. That's what life is. Why not? And two, for the I think the authenticity aspect, like this is reality. This is what real life is like. It gets messy sometimes. And I think too, um, I have bring a different aspect to the table in the sense that I live in the houses that I fix. So I often deal with homeowner issues more than most homeowners because I'm inside more homes, like literally living inside more homes than most people. And I think in that regard, I have a lot to bring to the table in terms of advice and things that I've learned and mistakes that I've made. And I think sharing that with people so that they don't have to make the same mistakes, or, they take whatever they take out of it. And because I think I bring a different perspective too, because I bring a women's perspective, which usually in this industry, unless it's like in real estate and selling homes, even that is murky, right? You don't really see women in the industry. And and again, and when you tie it all up with, how I was raised and who raised me and who I've been amongst, it makes sense that I'm here in the place that I am. So I think it's important for me to say that out loud for me, but for me to say that out loud for other women that are also looking to do the same thing, or that are doing the same thing, and just need a little encouragement, or anyone in general. Sometimes life is hard and sometimes we need encouragement. And I think that too is another aspect that brings me here. Encouraging people that, just a reminder, life is tough, but you're not in it alone.
Definitely, definitely. That is so true. Um, so is your podcast gonna be about real estate, or is it gonna be about, because before you coming back, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Before you coming back, you had podcast, a couple episodes where you were talking about life experiences and how what was going on as you were growing up, and the obstacles and the obstacles, the chaos, the trauma you faced, and how you dealt with them or how you're dealing with them. So is this new nerds in the hood? Is it gonna involve the old plus real estate, or is it still gonna focus on the old?
I think I still want to focus on the same vibe as before, even though I'm talking a little bit more about what I'm doing, right? And I'm being more open about what I'm doing. I think the overall concept is that that I'm just a person living in her truth and in her moment and in her life, and whether at the moment it's real estate or at the moment it's like a volunteering, or I just want to be myself and stand on it and be comfortable with it, and just share it with people, so hopefully it serves as a mirror, right? That self-reflection, because a lot of times I have to go on social media or on the news or call a friend so that I can mirror myself in them, right? That self-reflection is important. Um so yeah, I think I would like for it to be a little bit about everything, just my life in general.
Okay. Okay. And that's, hey, nothing wrong with that. You know. Um so talking about the podcast, as I mentioned, you originally, I think it was last year, you
Yeah.
had the podcast, you had a couple episodes, and then it kind of went silent, and you brought, I mean, why do you think that now is the right time versus then, or versus later? Why do you think right now is the right
Well, I think I was scared. I was very scared when I started the first podcast, and I wasn't sure really. I didn't have an idea where I was going with it, right? I was excited to talk. I was excited to be behind the mic, but I really didn't know what I was going to bring to the table necessarily. I didn't understand what assets I had, what things I can share, right? And I still did it though. I give myself credit. I started a podcast on Spotify. You can't find it because then, I got scared and I deleted it, and I could trip myself for that right now. But because there were some good things in there. And then I started one on YouTube, and then I did the same thing because I was second guessing myself. I was tripping myself out, right? And so now I think I see it a little differently, because now I understand, right? I had to sit back and reflect and really think about the things that I have to offer and why it would be a good idea. And when I actually sat down and processed through who I really am and what I've been through, I realized, my story is not really a regular story, right? This is not your everyday, story. And I also understand that even though I'm not the majority, I'm the very small minority. I also understand that minority, they don't get heard a lot, right? They don't have a voice, and I think that's part of what makes me want to talk about who I am and what I go through too, right? Because one day I'm perfectly fine, and then it could just be that the next day I can't do anything, and I have to sit with that. I have to deal with that. And everyone doesn't understand that and doesn't have to deal with that, because that's just not the normal, way of operating for humans. But it is for me, and it is for a lot of other people, millions of other people out in the world that have disabilities or are constrained to doing things, not on regular people time, but on their own time, on the time, the clock, that our internal physical clock that we all have, right? Because there could be a regular clock out here, right? But
time?
internally, physically,
Yeah.
our body tells us, listen, they can keep going, but you can't. And
Yeah.
so having to navigate through all of that, I think is tough. That's why, too, I think it's important that I share, and I stop being a scaredy cat. I don't think I'll ever stop being a scaredy cat, but
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, being scared and stuff like that, or or being your own obstacle, or you standing in front of you. I mean,
yes,
it can happen. I mean, because when you start sharing, when you start talking about traumatic events and things that happened in the past and whatnot in your life, you know, sometimes you just don't want to relive it, even though
no,
you may not be there physically, but
yeah.
you don't want to relive it. So I mean,
And sometimes it's been my experience a lot of times, because people know that I'm open about my trauma and the things that I've been through. I mean, I don't have to like constantly talk about it, right? But a lot of people know me and know the traumas, some of the traumas that I've been through. They feel comfortable talking to me about their trauma. And sometimes I don't think we understand that just talking about our trauma can trigger other people's trauma too. So sometimes that is a trippy space to navigate, and being able to say, whoa, this is too much. for yourself, but do it in a respectful way. That is very, very hard water to tread sometimes, and I know because I've been there. So even in that, right, there is a little messiness and chaos, right? Especially if you are processing through trauma that you're accepting, right? But the other
Hmm.
person involved or the other people involved or your family members aren't accepting it. They're not open to having the conversation. They're not even open to admitting that anything happened. That puts a little more strain on this whole situation. So yeah, living and having trauma is difficult. It's definitely one of the things that I struggle with. I have PTSD.
Yeah.
However, given everything I've been through and where I am now, I am absolutely proud of myself. I really am. I've come a long way to be able to be where I am right now in terms of regulating myself and understanding, my reactions and how I control that. Um, I come a really long way.
No, definitely, and I, as one of your longest friends, have seen the growth and have seen, I have seen different phases of Carmen throughout the years. Just because I've been an old friend, I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
in the beginning, we go way back to childhood.
You got one more time to say old again.
Well, we're trying to keep it true here. So, with that being the case, hey, but guys, I'm older than her by a couple of months. At least she has
A
that.
couple of lot.
I'm older, but we're the same age. If you guess my age, just go a couple of months later, and that's when
Almost
she
a year.
turns
Almost a
my
year.
but no, but seeing all the different it can get hard, when you go through something in life,
Hmm.
whatever it is, and it's traumatic, it causes PTSD and all these other things. It can be hard, uh, but keeping always in mind that the first step is the first. What I have learned is that the first step of healing is always talking about it, and there are like you mentioned earlier, the minority, the people that their voices are not heard, or but then they tune to your podcast, to your channel, and they start hearing you and they start seeing you that, oh wow, and they start hearing you talk about your trauma. And it's hard, you can probably pull an episode flawlessly, but it's still hard. Once you turn off that microphone, that camera, you have to, this is still going in your mind. It may end for the viewer, but it does not end for you, for
Right.
not right away.
Right. Right.
But
There's
so
repercussions, right?
definitely. So, you know, with that minority being able to see you talk about your trauma and be real, be raw and be real, it allows them to say, if she can do it, I can do it. And talking about it does so much. Sometimes we don't know how much it does, but just
Yeah.
talking about it,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's even better
And it
when you talk and people listen.
and it takes the shame away from it too. For a long time I was really ashamed that you know, I didn't dare say that I was homeless, right? I I would find different ways of saying it, but the truth is that I was homeless.
Yeah,
And that's in itself is a trauma, but having to work so hard to hide that truth is traumatizing, right?
it is.
Um
It is. You're hiding your true self. Because everything you've been through in life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, that has made you who you are today. Which leads me to another question. At this moment, right now, with everything that Carmen has been through, I'm not gonna say how many years. I'll stay quiet on that. I don't want to die today.
okay.
Um, but knowing everything that Carmen has been through in life, from childhood to and till now. Who are you? How do you how do you see yourself today? I know you mentioned growth and everything, and I've seen the growth too. But who are you? If one of your audience will ask you, who are you? What would you say?
The first thing I would say is I am a very, very proud mother of three amazing children, and I wouldn't change that for the world. And I believe with all my heart that that I was destined to be their mom, and I definitely believe that they helped change the tune of my story. And so because of them, right now I think I'm a very strong, hard-headed, smart, funny, sassy woman with lots of creation still left inside of her, with a lot of creativity and a sense of love and bringing people together. Um, I I think I'm at my peak right now. I feel like everything that I went through all was part of the process of the like the incubation to make me who I am right now, which is a hot mama jamma. I'm one tough human being, and I think I'm in this space where I'm finally trying to find. I don't think I know for sure that I'm in the space where I'm trying to find that soft side of me, right? Because I think a lot of people know me for my toughness, for my vigor, for my passion, for my boldness, right? And I'm ready to sit in my quiet, chill, allowing people to love me, not pushing people away, and not in the sense that I'm like, go away, but like in the sense that, I don't like anyone to help me. I want to do it all by myself, right? I want to be a big girl. And I'm ready to allow community back in my life now. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely a very different version of who I was even last year. I mean, I've changed, I've evolved, I think that much. I would even dare to say I'm a different person today than I was last month, 2 months ago, especially after losing my sister. That was absolutely uh, another traumatizing
Yeah,
experience that I will never forget. And I did not see it coming. I didn't expect it for 1 second. And to have to deal with that with so many things already going on was absolutely a miracle. It was nothing short of God that helped me get through that, for sure.
yeah. No, it is hard when you have a loss in your family. It is hard, and it just compounds to what you're already going through. And it's hard, but so kudos to you. Speaking is good, but it's also the hardest thing because, like I said, you make it real again.
Yeah.
Especially if you went through something, you try to stuff it to the bottom part of your heart, stuffing it all the way down to you. And but now but that in itself is dangerous. Speaking about it, brings it out. But like I said, it also starts the healing process because you start realizing I don't have to be afraid of these monsters anymore. I don't have to be afraid. It wasn't me. I shouldn't be ashamed, or I shouldn't be ashamed. I shouldn't be in guilt. I shouldn't be blaming me because it wasn't me. I didn't tell him, hey, do this or do that, or it wasn't me. So kudos to you all the way. I mean, it is hard what you're doing. Um, but as long as you stay speaking on everything about Carmen and stay real with the audience, I mean, it is I believe you lose out once you start being fake. Um, but en- enough about what I believe. This is your show, not mine. So I mean, what are you looking forward to? I mean, what do you see yourself in like 5 years from now?
I'm super excited to finish this house. I'm really so many little things have come together for this house, like little tiny pieces of things that have reminded me that I'm on the right course, right? Sometimes I second guess. I've said that before already, but sometimes I second guess myself, and a lot of times we make mistakes, and sometimes I wonder, is this a mistake? Am I doing the right thing? And life will give you those signs. And um, I've been on like a pink streak, right? Where I like a lot of things that are pink. And that's, for my own personal reason. And if you follow the podcast before, you know why it's so important for me to purposefully use the color pink. But I say that because when we drove up to this house, it is like the lightest version of pink ever, but it's pink. The house is pink.
Oh, nice.
And then inside of there, there's so many little like details that are pink. So I really believe I'm where I need to be right now, in terms of the house. I'm excited to see where this house goes. In terms of 5 years in the long run, I hope I really am in a position where I'm making good use of my schooling and I'm selling more houses, even if they're not my own houses. While I enjoy selling my own houses, right? It's awesome to like see a house through from beginning to end, right? To see it in the state that it's in, that everyone's like, I don't know if this is the one, right?
Yeah.
To seeing like a house that everyone's like, yeah, I want it. It's an amazing transition. I love doing that. In 5 years, I would hope, and I'm working really hard, so that I'm able to at least have the ability to sell a few houses a year, whether it be my own house or whether it be someone else's house. I really enjoy the staging process uh, and the flipping process, the growth, right? The process of seeing a transformation. So I hope that I'm in a place where I'm selling more homes, and also I hope I'm in a place where I'm not afraid to keep doing more of this, to keep talking more. I used to be such a talkative and outgoing person, and when I started getting sick, I cocooned and I kept to myself. And in these past 3, maybe 4 years, I've been trying to get out there and push myself out there. It's still scary. So I hope I'm also
Yeah.
more social.
No, definitely. And you are social. But then again, like I said, I've known you since you
Doesn't
are very
count.
social.
I'm
Yeah, it
too
doesn't
comfortable
count.
with you.
But no, but it is hard, and I think that the worst enemy is yourself. I
That is
mean,
true, bro. That is the
that
truth.
is the worst is enemies yourself, because once you start getting into your head and start saying, "Oh well, people may not like this," or I might say something wrong, I might look different, or I might look bad or whatever. It's like that's the worstest. You can be the worst enemy, and then all that you want to accomplish never gets accomplished.
Mhm.
And yeah,
That's true.
I hope, I mean, and flip flopping, I hope you can get to the, you enjoy it. I talking about those like HGTV shows and everything where it says flip flop is not for the easy of heart, or not, it's not for the faint of heart or whatnot. And I would look at them, I'm like, yeah, they're just probably saying that for camera time. When I start, I mean, I'm not a flip flopper by any means, but I bought a house and I'm bringing it back up from the '70s. I'm bringing it back. I'm getting it life again.
Yeah, yeah,
And I see how
literally.
hard it is, and it's like, wow, they weren't lying. I wanted to be a flip because I used to watch. So I'm like, I want to flip houses. And then when I started
Yeah.
working on mine, I'm like, you know what? Nah, I'm good just watching the shows.
I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, just so more for you if you go. I mean, it'd be awesome. I mean, it is like I said, demo is the best part of it, or anything of the whole. In my opinion, demo is the best part of the whole process.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah,
fun. It's fun to to break stuff and throw stuff, and I get it. I totally get it. For me,
especially
the
after
part that I like is picking out the new stuff, is imagining the stuff there, right? While the old stuff is there, imagining it all, and then in my head putting it back together. Can I tell you something? The
go
second house
ahead.
that I flipped, on the second house that I flipped, right? I drew up these plans, and I still have a copy, a digital copy and a printed copy. I drew up, um, I mocked up what I wanted the kitchen to look like in the second house, right?
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Unfortunately, life happens, and that kitchen didn't happen because
Oh,
I had to get a roof, gutters, way more important things, and unfortunately,
yeah,
we couldn't do the kitchen. The best thing that we could do was we repainted, did some new floorings, but there was too many big components that we couldn't actually focus on what I wanted to, which was the kitchen.
yeah,
It took all our money. But you got, what are you gonna do? You got to let it go. You got to take
yeah,
one for the team, and you got to move on. And I put those drawings away. Okay, forgot about it completely. Moved to the next house, right? And in
yeah,
the next house, I actually drew up the same exact kitchen from my head. First of all, the layout was already there, so the hardest
yeah,
part was done. All I literally had to do was come in and swap everything. Like, swap the
yeah,
counters, well, not me, someone else, but swap the counters and the counter and the what is it, the cabinets and the
yep,
flooring. But then after I finish the kitchen and I go back into my office one day, I'm looking through all my old pictures, and I find the picture of my kitchen, and I was like, how the heck? And then I put it, like, I'm looking at the kitchen and looking at the Jonathan, it's the same thing. It was so drilled in my head that I
yeah.
figured out where everything went. So I
Nice,
really
nice.
enjoy, like that, that part of putting it, like imagining it and putting it back together. My favorite part is seeing it all come together.
Yeah, definitely. No, I love imagining walking around the house like this is going here, this is going there. I love demo, especially after signing my life away. I get my frustration out on these walls.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, I like the before and after. It's just the one thing that I hate the most. It's just the money. The
Yeah.
money. It seems like every day things get more expensive, more expensive, more expensive. It's like, back in the day you could stretch $1. Now
Yeah.
you can barely stretch $100. I mean,
Yeah. You're
so
not lying.
but last question, because we kind of went through all the questions. I mean, speaking of you, she wrote the questions, and I didn't even have to ask all of them because she's touched on everything
Because I
that
talk too
I
much.
mean. No, you don't talk too much. It's just know what you want to get out, and it's like I guess you wrote the questions to kind of it is one of those things that you touched up a lot on is that fear. Oh, I want to get this right, so I'm gonna write this question and follow this
Yes.
question. But you know what? There's nothing to be afraid of because once you start talking, you know what you want to talk about. You're not going in 100 different directions. I mean, you want to and this is for your artists. You want to get confused? Listen to one of our conversations. You'll get confused quickly. Unless you'll be like, hold on, slow down, hold on. Can we get captioned something here? Um, but no, it is it is amazing because when you start speaking, you know where you want to go. You know what you want to talk about. And you give a lot, but not a lot to overwhelm somebody. Um, and you kind of hold back on the lot. And hopefully, as I mentioned to you previously, when you had the first time,
Yeah.
the first go around for the podcast,
Yeah.
hopefully you're able um, to go a little bit more deeper and answer those those suspenseful moments, those what the cliffhangers that you put out there. Hopefully, you can be able to go more deeper, and they can get to know you as I have known you over the long time. I'm trying not to say the time. You see, I'm trying not to. I know you're watching me. That's what I'm saying. But hopefully,
I should have been like,
hopefully, yeah, get that time. Um, but I mean, it's like hopefully your audience, whoever's listening, um, Yeah, I believe you said this is gonna be in Facebook and Spotify and or what? How can they? Before I ask you the last question, how can they listen to you? How can they? How can they hear you speak and go? Tell us about that.
Well, I have a Spotify account, and so it's definitely going up on Spotify. And I'm gonna see if I can put it up on YouTube. If I can't put up the full video, I'll put pieces of it. And I'm sure I'll find some takes that I can probably play with and throw onto TikTok or Facebook, because they're limited on the and Instagram limited in terms of how long your content could be.
Yeah,
Definitely, I always throw little things out on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. So you guys can always find me hashtag Carmencita no sé qué at Carmencita no sé qué. All my social medias are all Carmencita no sé qué, and I'll definitely add that on the bottom of the screen so everyone can actually see it and know how to spell it. Because if you're not Spanish, you're like, what? Yeah, that's exactly what the name means. What? Carmen, what? I don't know what. Carmen, I don't know what. That's my name. Carms, I don't know what. But
now, this is not this. Not to cut you off, I apologize for that. Not this is not one of the questions, but it has always bugged me. So you know what? I'm just gonna throw a hail mary and just ask you anyways.
okay.
Why the name Carmencita? No sé qué. Why?
Um, okay. Well, the first reason and the first honest to God reason is a little traumatizing. So I'm going to pause on reason number one, and then I'm
Okay,
going to go on to
fair.
reason number two. And bear with me. Reason number two is because upon listening to the line over and over again, I realized that's actually that's something that I've struggled with in my life a lot when people ask me what I do for a living, right? Because as an entrepreneur, how do you say, well, today, right, this is what I'm doing, but next week, right, this is what I'm doing? And sometimes I got frustrated and people didn't understand. And because I've been through so many things in my life that if I was to pick out of all the things, I don't know. There's so many things to pick from. So I thought for that reason the name was suitable. But really, the first reason is because it was something that was saying to me to taunt me. Somebody saying that one of my abusers taunted me with a song called Carmen. I
Okay.
believe the song is by El Gran Combo, and it's
Yep.
Carmencita, tú tienes un no sé qué. That's the song. And that's what they would sing to me. And so for a long time, I hated hearing the song. It was like turn it off. It's annoying because it gave me the creepy feeling, right,
Yeah.
of that person taunting me and bothering me with that song, Calmen, Calmen, Calmen. And I remember the feeling I would have. And so to take away the negative connotation to the song, I started singing the song to myself over and over again. And it was in that, like listening to the song and singing the song and just coming to the self-realization that there's really nothing wrong with the song itself. Well, even that is debatable, but anyways, the person was just using it as a weapon against me.
Yeah.
And now I'm using it as the power it's for me to stand on. Carmencita no sé qué. I don't know what, but I do know what.
Yeah. No, definitely. And thank you for sharing. Uh, reason number one. It takes a lot of the guts. It really does. I mean, and this was not audition or whatever you want to call it. This was not this is this is going on. Well, obviously once it gets head and all, but this is raw. This is the only thing that's scripted about this whole entire thing is the questions that she wanted me to ask. And like I said, I didn't ask all of them because she spoke on meant pretty much on everything. So it really
Carmencita, don't
takes
be quiet.
no, but no, it really takes a lot, and I appreciate that, and I know your audience will appreciate that as well. So thank you for that. Um, I mean, I I barely listen to Gran Combo. So you know what I mean. In order for me to listen to something, it has to move me. And Gran Combo, I mean, it might move some people, and and I'm not going too deep because I don't want to alienate or get people
Yeah,
off,
don't
or
get in trouble. Don't get in trouble.
you get message be like, yo, don't bring that guy back in here talking about Gran Combo like that, whatnot. But before we call it a night. You told us about yourself. You told us who you are. You told us what you're looking forward to. Hopefully flipping houses, more houses, or if not, at least using the real estate license that you're going for. As well as using the podcast as an avenue to be able to speak. Not only your past traumatic, but your current up to the keeping people, a well-rounded podcast. But how do you plan on doing all this? How do you plan on getting there? It's like you have a roadmap as to what you want to do within the next 5 years, but how do you plan on getting there? Like how?
One day at a time. One day at a time.
Okay.
I have a saying that all my kids know, and it's that we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. And I rather show up somewhere over prepared than under prepared. And sometimes I've been over prepared and still felt under prepared. And so for me, at least, that looks like routine, routine, routine. Routines are very important. Keeping myself, on check in terms of what it is that I need and that my body needs health wise to be able to get through. Uh, I can't. I can't break it down. I mean, I can't. It's not one big thing, right? I have to break it down into small parts, into little compartments, and so that I can see what needs to be done, right? Even on a daily basis, daily tasks. Even just learning and not well for me, it's actually putting it into practice, but putting into practice, the time management, right? What gets how much time and what doesn't, and sometimes that looks like not answering people, right? Too sometimes people get really upset with me because I don't answer the phone to everyone and I don't answer the phone to everyone all the time. And it's not because I don't love you or I don't want to talk to you, but it's because I have to allow myself the space to grow and do these things that I need for me to move on to the next level and to do what I have to do. And so I think that's when, routines come into play. Routines are so important, whether it's my eating routines, whether it's my working out routines, and having a plan, or that's a routine, making sure that every day you have a plan, even if it's on your days off. Even on my days off, I still make sure that I get my walk in. I still make sure that I eat certain foods, even down to eating certain things. That's how important those little things are and how much of a difference they make in my life. So that's how I plan on getting there, breaking it all down into smaller parts and going at it one thing at a time.
No, definitely. I mean, yeah, yeah. And not gonna ask you right after there'll be another hour conversation, but eventually, hopefully, your audience will hear why is that you have to be on a routine. I mean, it sounds great being on a routine. I mean, I myself am in a routine. Having an autistic child, I have to be in routine, so I know all about that. But hopefully, your audience will get to hear that more in depth as to why even food, what kind of food you can eat, what plan, the walking and everything. And hopefully they can hear all that. I mean, I mean, we can't give them all today because, then this will be a one
All they
episode
have to do is all they
podcast.
have to do is go on my social media and all the beans will be spilled because I actually talk a lot. Well, I have my fibromyalgia fighters page that definitely
Yeah.
uh I have a lot of followers on there because they understand, right? And I talk a lot about what I really go through and the struggles that I go through. But yeah, you're right. We can't give it all away.
But Carmencita, no sé qué, thank you for giving me this honor and privilege to interview you. It is, for you guys that are gonna listen, whether you have listened to old podcasts or you're tuning in for the first time, this one right here is a very strong woman, and she is an inspiration. She inspires me, and I know she inspires a lot of people. And it doesn't go with saying that she has as well many haters. They're out there, but above all this, she's a very strong woman. Her children, they're blessed to have her as a mother. And stubborn. That stubborn, but hopefully, I mean, usually they say when you're younger, you're stubborn. No, no, I think you're more stubborn when you get older.
It could be. I don't know. I don't know.
But overall, I mean, she it will be once you start listening to her and listening to her story and listening to all the stuff that she has overcome. That some stuff she has put in the rear view mirror, some stuff she still hasn't. She's dealing with it daily. And this is more than just a physical thing she's dealing with. That's a whole nother episode right there, or a couple more episodes with the physical that she's dealing with and everything. But very strong woman, and like I said, I'm honored and privileged to be called a friend, brother, and to do this. And hopefully, I did you justice. I mean, I don't know. First
You
acting
did.
class, I might ask you for a recording so I can send in for an audition. I don't know. I mean, it's never late to be an actor, right?
You did great. You did great. You acted just like Jonathan.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, depending on who you ask, I guess. But no, thank you for everything. And
Well, first of all, thank you, Jonathan, so much. Thank you for uh, taking your time out to ask the questions and for helping me put this out to my audience. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. And to my audience, I hope this is your welcoming with opening arms for me because I'm back and it's great to be here. I'm excited to be here.